One bright afternoon, a beloved billionaire stepped into the marketplace, smiling warmly as he exchanged pleasantries with cheering supporters. Cameras flashed, traders shouted blessings. Everything seemed perfect. Until a homeless girl pushed through the crowd and landed a hot, resounding slap across the billionaire's face. The entire market froze. His security pounced. The billionaire was furious. Who was this ragged girl? Why would she dare slap a man loved by millions? Was she insane or prepared to rot in jail? But the truth behind that slap will leave you speechless. And what happened afterward will bring tears to your eyes. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, because today's story will shake you to your core. Let's dive in. The rain had a strange way of falling in Lagos that evening. Slow, heavy, almost deliberate, as though the clouds themselves were tired of watching people suffer. Kamsi stood outside the rusty gate of the compound she had called home for 3 years. Her clothes soaked, her hands trembling as she hugged a nylon bag containing the only thing she could grab before the shouting began. Her heart felt as if someone were squeezing it from within. "Paokan, please, just give me 1 more week," she begged, running after her landlord who was already marching back into his flat. "I will get the money, I promise. I've been trying to find extra shifts. Please, sir." He turned sharply, his eyes cold, lips twisted in irritation. Paokan was a man who believed the poor were poor because they were lazy. He never saw the struggles, only the failures. "Kamsi," he barked. "I didn't warn you, Tyre. This is 3 months now. You think saying a charity I they run here? Carry your things, come on." Before she could speak again, 2 of his nephews came out, dragging her mattress and dropping it on the wet ground. Her clothes spilled out of the torn Ghana Must Go bag. Her framed certificate from Yabatek fell face down into the mud. A neighbor standing by her door laughed softly. "Nawa-o, fine girl like you no fit get small boyfriend way go help you? You two form holy." Another added, "Abi she dey wait for angel to bring rent from heaven?" Their laughter cut through her like a knife. Kamsi blinked painfully, her eyes filling with tears she didn't want to let fall. She wasn't the type to cry publicly. Her mother always told her, "Your tears are gold, my daughter. Don't waste them on those who don't care." But today, her mother wasn't here. Her father wasn't here. No one was here. She was alone. Her chest tightened. Earlier that year, the small shop where she worked as a sales attendant, Yikayin, had closed unexpectedly. The owner had traveled abroad without notice, leaving her stranded. She took up small cleaning roles in nearby shops, sometimes earning just enough for food. But Lagos rent waits for no one, and poverty does not negotiate. "Sir, please," she whispered again, reaching out. Paokan slapped her hand away as though her fingers carried disease. "No, put your hand from my cloth. Come on. If you like, cry from now till tomorrow. You no go enter this house again." The boys pushed out her last bag and slammed the gate. The metallic clang echoed through the street like a final judgment. Kamsi's legs weakened beneath her. She sank slowly beside her things, unable to stop the tears anymore. They mixed with the rain, running down her cheeks in a warm, painful stream. She touched her certificate, wiping the mud from it, her fingers shaking. "I worked so hard," she whispered to herself. "I did everything right. So why?" No answer came. The rain grew heavier. Neighbors shut their windows. Cars splashed dirty water on the roadside where her belongings lay. A stray dog sniffed at her bread wrapper. Kamsi felt humiliation burn through her skin. She had always been determined, always believed that if she stayed focused, life would eventually reward her. But tonight, life spat in her face. With trembling hands, she gathered her scattered items, folding her clothes as neatly as she could despite the mud. Her breath came out in uneven bursts. Her eyes stung. Where would she sleep? Who could she call? Who truly cared? Her phone battery was dead. Even if it wasn't, who could she run to? Her parents were gone. Her only close friend had relocated to Port Harcourt. Everyone else was either struggling or indifferent. She lifted the mattress, soaking wet and smelling of dampness, and dragged it under the orange tree across the street to keep it from the rain. Her back ached, her palms burned. She sat on the cold ground, hugging her knees, teeth chattering. Her entire world had collapsed in a single evening. Cars passed by. No one looked at her twice. God, what did I do wrong? She whispered into the night. Thunder rolled like an answer she didn't understand. The longer she sat there, the more invisible she felt. Like Lagos itself was swallowing her silence. Hours passed, the rain slowed, the streetlights flickered. She remained motionless, staring at nothing. By midnight, when the compound finally went quiet, she stood up slowly and looked one last time at the building she once called home. There was no point staying near it. Staying would only remind her of the shame. With numb fingers, she lifted her small bag, wrapped her certificate in her scarf, and began to walk. Past the mechanic shops, past the closed kiosks, past the laughter of those who had mocked her. She walked until her legs could no longer carry her. She found shelter beneath a pedestrian bridge, curled into herself, and tried to sleep on the cold concrete. Her eyes remained open. Her life had shifted in one night, and she had no idea that this unimaginable suffering was about to lead her directly into the path of a billionaire and into destiny. Morning arrived slowly, like a reluctant guest. Under the pedestrian bridge at Ohuelegba, Kamsi opened her eyes to the harsh brightness of Lagos sunrise and the cold stiffness in her bones. Her back ached from sleeping on concrete. Her throat was dry. The night had given her no rest, only a long stretch of painful thoughts. Buses roared past. Conductors shouted destinations with cracked voices. Yaba, Yaba-o, Jibowu straight. People rushed around her, stepping close but never close enough to notice her. She wasn't invisible because she wanted to be. She was invisible because poverty hides people from the world. Her stomach growled violently. She hugged her knees, fighting the dizziness. She had eaten nothing since the previous afternoon. With shaking fingers, she reached into her nylon bag and brought out half a sachet of pure water she had saved. It was warm and tasted slightly sour, but she sipped it anyway. It did little to quench her hunger. Her eyes stung. This was day 2 since her eviction, and the weight of homelessness was already crushing her spirit. Lagos was no place for the tired, the slow, or the broken. She needed food. She needed money. But who would give either to a girl who looked like she had fallen out of the sky? After a long pause, she stood up and dusted her skirt, though the dust replaced itself almost immediately. She tied her scarf tighter and began walking toward the market. The streets were loud, chaotic, and unapologetically alive. She passed hawkers balancing trays of bananas, men pushing wheelbarrows filled with oranges, women frying puff-puff in oil that hissed loudly. The sight of food made her stomach twist painfully. At the entrance of the market, the smell of spices, fried fish, and roasted corn surrounded her, tempting and torturing. All at once, she swallowed hard. She approached a woman selling provisions. "Good morning, Ma," Kamsi whispered, barely audible. The woman looked up, eyes scanning her from head to toe, the worn clothes, the tired eyes, the dusty skin. "Anan, wagon you want? Please, do you have any leftover bread you're not selling? Anything at all? I haven't eaten." The woman frowned. "I no get leftover. I beg shift. You day block customer." Kamsi nodded and stepped back quietly. She tried another stall, and another, and another. Some ignored her. Some insulted her. One man said, "No be only food, not fuel, you go beg next." She forced herself not to cry. Finally, she approached an old woman selling oranges by the corner, her stall far from the noise, shaded by a large umbrella that had seen better days. The woman had gray hair tucked into a scarf, and her hands shook slightly as she arranged the fruits. Kamsi hesitated. The woman looked up at her, eyes gentle. "My pekin, wetin they do you? You look pale." Kamsi bit her lip. "Please, mama. Anything I fit eat? I go pay you someday. I just need something small." The woman stared for a long moment, then reached into her pile and took out 2 oranges, fresh, bright, full. She pressed them into Kamsi's hands. "No worry, inogo always be like this." Kamsi's eyes flooded instantly. No one had spoken to her with kindness in days. "Thank you, Mama. God bless you." "Chop first, cry later," the woman said softly. Kamsi stepped aside, sat on a low stone, and peeled 1 orange. The juice burst into her mouth, sweet, tangy, almost heavenly. Her hands trembled as she ate slowly, savoring each bite like it was the first meal of her life. As she ate, her ears picked up the rising excitement across the market. "Them say Chief some today come today. Na lie, that billionaire way day on billboard. Yes, oh, him day come support small traders. People screamed, whistled, rearranged their stalls, straightened their clothes, cleaned their tables. The air vibrated with anticipation. Kamsi looked around in confusion. Chief Somto Obianwu, she had heard of him, the billionaire philanthropist, Nigeria's tech giant, the man whose foundation paid school fees for thousands of children. He was like a legend, someone people admired but never saw up close. Kamsi sighed. Even if he came, it meant nothing to her. She wasn't a trader. She wasn't even a resident of anywhere anymore. She was just a girl with a torn nylon bag and hunger she couldn't hide. Still, curiosity tugged at her. Markets didn't buzz like this every day. She finished her oranges, wiped her hands on her skirt, and slowly moved closer to the center of the gathering crowd. Everywhere, traders were whispering and adjusting their stands. Children climbed benches to get a better view. Then, sirens, loud, sharp, commanding. Security vans rolled in. A sleek black SUV followed behind. The entire market exploded with cheers. He's here! He's really here! God bless this man! People rushed forward, waving, shouting blessings, struggling to catch a glimpse. Kamsi stood at the back, tiptoeing, her heart pounding, not from excitement, but from something she couldn't explain. Something in the atmosphere shifted. A strange uneasiness crawled up her spine. Something didn't feel right. She didn't know why, she only knew this wasn't an ordinary visit. And somewhere in the midst of the celebration, a man in a neat shirt and polished shoes pushed gently through the crowd. A smile on his lips, deadly intention in his heart, and glittering powder on his open palm. Kamsi felt her breath hitch, though she didn't fully understand what she was seeing yet. But destiny was already pulling her closer, closer to the moment that would change her life forever. The market had transformed into a living sea of bodies. Everywhere, people pushed, pressed, shouted, clapped, and prayed out loud as Chief Somto Obianwu stepped out of the SUV with the ease of someone born for the spotlight. Even his security struggled to hold the crowd back. He was tall, dark, and carried himself with the quiet confidence of a man who had known both wealth and war. His smile was warm, genuine enough to make people adore him instantly. Traders shouted his name with the excitement of Wayne's welcoming a superstar. Kabiyesi Somto, helper of the poor. God bless you, sir. Children danced, women blessed him, men saluted him. But Kamsi wasn't watching him. Not fully. Her gaze kept drifting back to one particular man she had noticed minutes earlier. A clean-shaven man, well-dressed, too well-dressed for the dusty market. His shirt was neatly ironed, his shoes shining like mirrors. He carried himself not like the traders or the locals, but like someone used to privilege. His eyes weren't on the crowd, only on Somto, and his smile, it was a strange kind of smile, the kind someone wears when they know something the world doesn't. Kamsi had seen him before, though she couldn't place where immediately. Then it clicked. Yes, she had seen him in newspapers. He was Mr. Kola Adeyemi, one of Somto's oldest friends and former business partner. They had started a company together years ago before something went wrong, and Kola was removed quietly from the board. Rumors said jealousy had eaten deep into the friendship. Rumors said he still wanted Somto destroyed. Kamsi didn't know all the details, but she remembered the face, and today that familiar face was smiling too much, too eagerly, too dangerously. As Somto moved closer to greet the traders, Kola slowly pushed through the crowd, adjusting his collar as though preparing for an important moment. His right palm was slightly open and shimmering. At first, Kamsi thought it was sweat catching the sunlight, but then she saw it. The glitter wasn't natural. It clung to his skin thickly, powdery, dark gray with a faint metallic shine. It reminded her of something she had seen once, something horrible. 1 year ago, when she was still working as a shop cleaner, she had witnessed a shocking incident. A man had been rushed into the chemist opposite her shop, screaming and convulsing. Someone had hidden a type of industrial toxin inside his gloves. The powder was odorless, but extremely lethal when absorbed through the skin. It had burned into his palms and entered his bloodstream. She remembered the chemist's panicked shout, "Nobody touch him! The poison dey him hand! If he touch you, na instant death!" That image haunted her for weeks. And here in this market, that same shimmering powder coated Kola's palm. Her heart dropped into her stomach. Her breath hitched. Her body went cold. Kola is going to poison him. He wants to kill the billionaire with a handshake. He came smiling to murder his friend in public. It made terrifying sense. A handshake was the one thing even security couldn't block. And Somto, ever generous, ever trusting, was already stretching his arm out to greet a crowd of traitors. That was the moment everything inside Kamsi ignited. She didn't think, she didn't plan, she just moved. Hunger forgotten, fear forgotten, pain forgotten. Her feet carried her through the gathering crowd, squeezing between people, pushing past bodies. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. Every second she wasted was a second closer to death. Kola stepped forward. Somto turned toward him with a warm smile. Kola? Somto said, surprised. What a pleasant... His hand rose to meet his friend's. Their palms were inches apart. Inches. Kamsi's voice tore out of her throat, raw and desperate. Stop! No one heard her. The market was too loud. So she did the only thing a desperate soul could do. She threw herself forward with all her remaining strength and slapped the billionaire across the face. Not a gentle slap, not a confused slap, but a loud, sharp, bone-stinging strike that echoed through the entire marketplace. Pah! The sound cut through noise like a knife. Everything froze. The crowd gasped. Security officers drew weapons. Women screamed. Children jumped back. Traders dropped their goods. The billionaire staggered backward, stunned, his hand flying to his cheek. Confusion swallowed his features. Kola's hand froze midair, his deadly plans shattered. The entire market erupted in chaos. Are you mad? She slapped Chief Somto. Arrest her. She don't kill herself today. God forbid. Wouldn't they worry this girl? Within seconds, 3 security agents pounced on her, dragging her to the ground. Her knees scraped the gravel painfully. The dust mixed with her tears. Somto, still holding his cheek, stared at her with disbelief and growing anger. Kamsi gasped, trying to breathe, pointing at Kola. Her voice came out broken but urgent. His hand! The powder! It will kill you! One officer slapped her head. Shut up! You no get sense? Another twisted her arm. Shabi you want trend, Abi. You don't slap billionaire. Now you go explain, No, listen to me. Please, she cried. His palm, look at it. It's poison. He was going to shake you, please. Nobody listened. Nobody cared, except one person. Inspector Uju, who had just stepped out of the SUV behind the others, froze. Her eyes shifted sharply to Kola's palm. She saw the glitter. Her pupils widened. But before she could speak, Kola quickly rubbed his hand against his trouser, wiping off the powder. His smile faded for a split second, just enough for her to catch the guilt. Uju's breath caught. Something was very wrong. But the scene was too chaotic to reveal anything now. Meanwhile, the crowd chanted angrily, Beat her! Drag her away! Who she thinks she be? Somto finally found his voice. Take her away, he said quietly, painfully embarrassed. She will explain herself at the station. He didn't yet know she had just saved his life. He didn't yet know he had ordered the arrest of his guardian angel. Kamsi was lifted off the ground and thrown into the security van. The doors slammed shut. Her chest heaved. Her eyes burned. As the van sped off, she caught a final glimpse of Somto, confused, humiliated, still touching the cheek she had slapped. And behind him, Kola stood frozen. A flicker of hatred in his eyes. A plan ruined. A second attempt forming. Kamsi whispered through clenched teeth, God, please, let someone believe me. Her nightmare was just beginning. The security van rattled violently as it sped away from the market, but not nearly as violently as Kamsi's heartbeat. Her wrists were tied behind her with a rough rope that bit into her skin. Dust stung her eyes, sweat mixed with tears on her cheeks. She hadn't even eaten properly in days. The slap had drained the last of her strength. Now she was locked in a metal cage, being treated like a hardened criminal. An officer sitting opposite her hissed, Nawa for you, girl. You get mind slap billionaire. Even which no fit, try-am. Another laughed cruelly. Them suppose give you award for most stupid person for Lagos. Kamsi closed her eyes tightly. She wanted to scream. She wanted to explain, but her voice felt trapped beneath fear. What if they never believed her? What if Chief Somto never knew the danger he had escaped? The van screeched to a stop inside a private compound, an interrogation center used only for special cases. The gates shut behind them with a heavy metallic thud. Two officers yanked her out. Her legs buckled. She fell to her knees. "Stand up," one barked, kicking her side, not hard enough to break bone, but cruel enough to send her gasping. They dragged her inside a dimly lit room smelling of sweat, blood, and old secrets. A single bulb flickered overhead, casting shaky shadows across the walls. They shoved her onto a metal chair, tying her wrists to the back. An officer paced in front of her, a tall man with a scar across his cheek. "Who sent you?" he demanded. "Nobody," she whispered. "I was trying to save him." A slap cut her short, not as loud as the one she had given Somto, but sharp enough to make her ears ring. "Save him? You slap person to save him?" He sneered. "You think say we be moo-moo?" "I saw poison on his hand," she whispered through trembling lips. "Please, look at him closely next time." He was holding his palm open. It was glittering. It was. Her voice dissolved. The officer leaned closer, breathing hot anger into her face. "You think say Billionaire be your mate? He no go forgive you for this disgrace you give him today." "Prepare yourself." Another officer entered and tossed a photo on the table. A still from the market's viral video. It showed only one thing, Kamsi's hand colliding with Somto's cheek. The room erupted in laughter. Scarface hissed, "See as you give him dirty slap. If no be say your life worth nothing, forsooth you turn your generation to dust." Kamsi's throat tightened painfully. The shame, the helplessness, the humiliation. "It wasn't intentional," she whispered. "I was trying to—" Scarface slapped her again, harder. Her lips split. A metallic taste filled her mouth. "Shut up your dirty mouth." Another officer stepped behind her and grabbed her hair, forcing her head back. "You want trend, Abby? You want go viral?" he said mockingly. "No, please." Tears flowed freely now, hot and salty, dripping down her chin. "We asked who sent you. Talk before we make you talk," Scarface growled. "No one sent me," she cried. "I wasn't trying to hurt him. That man, Cola, his palm had poison. I've seen it before." Scarface laughed. "So now which you be now, you dey see poison like CCTV?" Kamsi sobbed quietly. "I saw it. I swear, please listen." But Scarface was no longer listening. He pulled out a baton. She squeezed her eyes shut. "Enough." A firm voice cut through the tension. Inspector Uju stepped into the room, her expression stern but unreadable. She carried authority effortlessly, shoulders straight, gaze sharp, uniform spotless. Her presence sucked the heat out of the air. Scarface stiffened. "Madam, we are still handling the suspect." "I heard," Uju said calmly. "That's why I'm here." She walked toward Kamsi, her footsteps confident and measured. Kamsi trembled, unsure if this was another tormentor. Uju looked directly into her swollen eyes. "Why did you slap the chief?" she asked quietly. Kamsi opened her mouth, but fear choked her voice. Scarface scoffed. "She don lie taya. She talk say she see poison for Cola hand." Uju's eyes sharpened. "Cola?" "Yes, chief's friend," Scarface said dismissively. "She dey craze." Uju turned back to Kamsi. "What exactly did you see?" Kamsi swallowed hard. "The powder. Same type I saw last year. A man. He died from it. It kills through the skin. Please, Ma. I didn't mean harm. I was trying to stop him." Her voice quivered. "Please believe me." For a brief moment, Uju's face softened, but she hid it quickly. She circled the room thoughtfully. Scarface smirked. "Madam, Abeg, make we lock her for cell. She fit dey hallucinate." But Uju had seen something earlier at the market. Cola wiping his hands suspiciously against his trousers, the glittery sheen, the quick panic in his eyes. She wasn't convinced this girl was lying, yet she had no evidence. Not yet. "Untie her," Uju said. "What, madam?" Scarface protested. "Untie her. She will be questioned properly later. No more hitting, no more intimidation. If I hear say Una touch her again, everybody here go face query." Reluctantly, they cut Kamsi free. Her arms dropped weakly to her sides. She winced, her joints stiff and bruised. Uju leaned closer and whispered, quiet enough only Kamsi could hear. If you are telling the truth, I will find out. Kamsi looked up, hope flickering in her eyes. Uju straightened, put her in the holding cell, alone, and get her water. Scarface grunted but obeyed. As Kamsi was led away, her body trembling, she glanced back at Uju, the first person who hadn't treated her like trash. Maybe, just maybe, someone would finally listen. But outside this interrogation center, a darker shadow was forming. Kola Adeyemi had not forgotten the slap. He had not forgiven the interruption, and he was already planning what to do next. Night settled over the city like a thick blanket, heavy and suffocating. Inside the small holding cell, Kamsi curled in one corner, hugging her knees tightly. The walls were cold. The concrete was harder than the bridge she had slept under. But at least here she was alive. Her cheeks burned from slaps. Her lips stung. Her wrists bore rope marks. Still a tiny spark of hope flickered in her chest. Inspector Uju. She replayed the brief moment when their eyes met. Uju wasn't like the others. She hadn't mocked her. She hadn't dismissed her. She had listened. But would that be enough? As the hours passed, footsteps approached the hallway outside. Keys jingled. Someone opened the small viewing hatch. A dim light spilled in. Kamsi, a calm voice said, "Are you awake?" It was Inspector Uju. Kamsi lifted her head slightly, shielding her eyes from the light. "Yes, Ma." "Come," Uju said gently. "I need you to show me something." The door opened. Two officers followed behind, though Uju shot them a warning look. No nonsense, no intimidation. She led Kamsi into an adjoining office, cleaner and quieter. A laptop sat open on the table, a flash drive beside it. "Sit," Uju instructed. Kamsi obeyed, her body trembling from exhaustion and fear. Uju inserted the flash drive and played a video, market CCTV footage from angles social media didn't capture. The chaotic crowd appeared, arms waving, bodies pushing. Then the camera zoomed in automatically through tracking mode. Kamsi froze. It was the exact moment she saw it earlier. Kola's glittering palm extending toward Chief Samto. Uju paused the video and zoomed in further. The image pixelated slightly, but the shimmering powder was unmistakable. "Is this what you saw?" Uju asked, her voice low. Yes, Ma," Kamsi whispered. "That's the poison. The same type from last year when I was working as a cleaner. A man died from it. They said it enters through the skin." Uju watched her closely, not her words but her eyes. Fear was real. Conviction was real. This was not a girl seeking attention. Uju chewed her lip thoughtfully. "Kamsi, this man is Kola Adeyemi. He and Chief Samto used to be very close, but their partnership ended badly. Kola lost millions after being removed from the board. Rumor is he blames Samto." Kamsi swallowed hard. "So he really tried to kill him?" "The evidence is not complete," Uju admitted. "But there are signs." She turned to the officers behind her. "I want Kola Adeyemi located discreetly. No confrontation yet. Just track him. And check the CCTV from the chemist street near the market. There was a shadowy figure in that area earlier." The officers nodded and left. Uju returned to the footage, playing it again from the beginning, watching the assassin's movements with a trained eye. Something else caught her attention. Kola had been wearing gloves earlier when he entered the market, but removed them right before approaching Samto. Why? Kola was ostentatious but not foolish. He wouldn't remove gloves unless he wanted skin contact. A handshake. Poison through the palm. Quick death in less than a minute. Perfect murder disguised as a friendly greeting. Uju exhaled slowly, tension tightening in her shoulders. Kamsi watched her. "Ma, will you tell him? Will you tell Chief Samto?" Uju didn't answer immediately. "I need proof, Kamsi. Real proof. Right now it is only footage and suspicion. If I confront the chief or arrest a powerful man like Kola without certainty, I could lose my badge." Kamsi felt her throat tighten. "So I will stay here forever?" "No," Uju said firmly. "I promised I would find the truth, and I will." She stood up and crossed to her desk, pulling out a forensic swab kit. "Come," she said, motioning Kamsi forward. "Ma? I'm going to the market myself. I want to test the exact spot where Kola stood when you slapped the chief. If that powder fell to the ground, even a tiny amount, it will show up." Kamsi's eyes widened. "But the market is busy. People walk there every minute. It might be gone." "Maybe," Uju said, But poison doesn't wash away easily, and glittery powder is stubborn. Before leaving, she turned to the guard. Do not harm her. Do not interrogate her. She stays untouched until I return. The guard saluted. Uju left the station immediately. The market was quieter now, but not calm. People still clustered in groups talking about the incident. That girl get bad luck. She go chop prison. Imagine slap billionaire in public. A spiritual problem. Uju ignored the chatter and walked straight to the exact spot captured on camera. She replayed the video on her tablet for positioning, then bent down, holding her flashlight close to the ground. At first, she saw nothing. Then her breath caught. A faint, shimmering residue stuck between two cobblestones, almost invisible unless the light hit at the right angle. Her pulse quickened. She took out her swab and collected the powder carefully, sealing it inside an evidence tube. Next, she scanned the ground again. More glitter, barely visible, formed a tiny trail leading toward a stall. Uju followed it and found another clue. A glove, dropped dirty, stepped on, but still intact. She picked it up and sealed it as well. This was no coincidence. This was attempted murder. She stepped aside and called the forensic lab. Prepare immediate analysis, she ordered. I'm bringing samples. As she hung up, her phone buzzed again. It was one of her officers. Madam, we tracked Kola. And? He's leaving town tonight. Her blood ran cold. Kola was trying to escape. Follow him. Do not engage. Do not alert him. I'm on my way. Back at the station, Kamsi stared at the ceiling in her cell, praying silently. God, please, let someone believe me. Let the truth come out. Her stomach growled painfully, her body hurt everywhere. But for the first time since her nightmare began, she felt a thin thread of hope. Someone was fighting for her. And the truth was finally beginning to rise from the shadows. Morning crept into the interrogation center, slowly casting long shadows across the gray walls. Kamsi had barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the slap, the shocked face of Chief Somto, the brutal hands of the officers, and the glittering poison on Kola's palm. Her body ached everywhere. Her lip was swollen. Her wrists stung. But somewhere deep inside, a whisper of hope still fluttered. Inspector Uju. She replayed her words. If you're telling the truth, I will find out. Kamsi held on to it like a lifeline. The cell door suddenly clicked open, making her flinch. Two guards entered, but not with the cold hostility she expected. They stood straighter than usual, almost nervous. Stand, one muttered. Kamsi rose slowly, wincing. Her knees trembled. Her throat was dry. They walked her through the corridor toward the same office where Uju had questioned her. The faint smell of disinfectant mixed with the metallic scent of fear. When the door swung open, Kamsi gasped softly. Inspector Uju was there, waiting. But she wasn't alone. Chief Somto Obianwu sat beside Iyun, not with anger, not with humiliation, but with a strange mixture of shock, regret, and something like sorrow deep in his eyes. Kamsi froze. Come in, Uju said gently. Her legs felt heavy as she stepped inside. She expected yelling, blame, insults. Instead, Somto stood up slowly, his face, still marked faintly where her palm had landed, softened. Kamsi, he began, voice low. Sit down, please. Kamsi's breath caught. He knew her name. She lowered herself into the chair. Her fingers trembled on her lap. Uju spoke first. We ran forensic tests on the market stones, she said, placing a test report on the table. The powder you mentioned, it matches Oganihu-7, a prohibited neurotoxin that kills through skin absorption. Kamsi gasped quietly. Uju continued, the glove we recovered near the scene carries the same residue, and both were found exactly where you described. Somto inhaled sharply, looking shaken. Kamsi, he whispered, you saw that from a distance? You recognized it? Tears filled her eyes. I didn't want you to die. I just reacted. I thought, if I didn't stop you, something terrible would happen. The billionaire lowered his gaze, swallowing hard. Uju cleared her throat. Lab results came in at 5 a.m. I alerted the commissioner. An arrest warrant for Kola Adeyemi has been issued. He attempted to flee, but we intercepted him on the highway. Kamsi's eyes widened. He was really trying to kill you? Somto nodded slowly, painfully. Yes, Kola and I were friends for 12 years. We built our first business together. When we expanded, greed poisoned him. I removed him from the board after he siphoned money from the charity funds. Since then, he blamed me for his downfall. He ran a hand over his face, despair flickering in his expression. I never believed he would try to kill me. Not like this, not so publicly. Uju added, he confessed partially during interrogation. He didn't plan to miss. Your intervention destroyed his timing. He had no idea you recognized the toxin. Kamsi lowered her head, overwhelmed. I wasn't trying to embarrass you, sir. I wasn't thinking. I just saw what I saw and Sumto stepped forward, slowly kneeling to her eye level. The move shocked even Uju. Don't apologize, he whispered. You saved my life. Kamsi's lips parted, her breath trembling. You believe me? He nodded, eyes filled with something close to remorse. I owe you more than belief. I owe you an apology. His voice cracked slightly. I let them arrest you. I let them hurt you. I judged you by your appearance without knowing your heart. A tear slipped down Kamsi's cheek. Sumto's jaw tightened with pain. You protected me when my own friend came to destroy me. You saw what even trained officers missed. If not for you, his voice broke. I might have been buried today. Kamsi covered her mouth, overwhelmed. Uju stood, holding a signed document. Kamsi Adiele, by the order of the police commissioner, you are officially cleared of all charges. You are free. Kamsi blinked rapidly, unable to process the words. Free. After humiliation, after torture, after nearly dying for trying to help. Free. But before she could speak, Sumto reached out gently and lifted her trembling hands. I promise you, he said softly, your suffering ends today. Everything you lost, I will restore it, and everything you dreamed of, I will help you rebuild it. Kamsi sobbed quietly, her shoulders shaking. Why are you being so kind to me? She whispered. Sumto looked at her with deep sincerity. Because kindness is what you gave me first. When you had nothing, you still tried to save me. He squeezed her hands gently. From this moment, you are no longer alone. Kamsi cried harder, years of pain melting into relief. Uju placed a warm hand on her shoulder. You were brave, Kamsi. Most people would have run. You ran toward danger. For the first time since her nightmare began, Kamsi felt something return to her chest. Something fragile, glowing, powerful. Hope. Sumta straightened, wiping a stray tear from his cheek. Come, let's go home, he said gently. Home. A word she hadn't heard in a long time. She hadn't known that losing everything was the path to gaining something far greater. Her life was about to transform, forever. The next morning, sunlight spilled into Chief Sumto's private hospital suite, warm, golden, almost heavenly. Kamsi sat at the edge of the bed in fresh clothes Uju brought for her. For the first time in weeks, she felt clean, warm, safe. She kept staring at the window, half expecting someone to burst in and drag her away again. But instead, soft knocks came. The door opened. Chief Sumto stepped inside, dressed in a crisp white caftan. His face looked calmer, gentler, nothing like the tense man she had slapped in public. Kamsi, he said softly, are you strong enough? She nodded, though her heart fluttered nervously. For what, sir? He smiled. For your freedom and your honor. She blinked. My honor? Come, he said, extending a hand. Her fingers trembled as she placed her palm gently into his. He held her as though she were something fragile, something precious. They walked out together. The press conference that shook Nigeria. When they arrived at the conference hall of Sumto Industries, cameras flashed so brightly Kamsi almost stepped back. Rows of journalists filled the hall, murmuring loudly, adjusting microphones. At the center was a long table with the company's logo behind it. Chief Sumto led Kamsi to the seat beside him. Gasps filled the room. Whispers rose. That's the girl who slapped him. Why is she sitting beside the chief? What's happening? Sumto raised a hand for silence. The room stilled. He took a deep breath, then began. Yesterday, he said, voice deep and steady, the nation saw a viral video of a young woman slapping me in public. Cameras clicked rapidly. Most of you mocked her, many insulted her, some called her a criminal. Even I did not understand. He paused, emotion tightening his throat. But today I stand before you with the truth. Kamsi's heart pounded. This young woman, he said, resting a gentle hand on her shoulder, saved my life. A thunderous wave of murmurs swept the room. Soma continued. While I was distracted greeting the crowd, someone I trusted, someone who once called me brother, attempted to assassinate me using a skin absorption toxin called Oganhu 7, a poison that kills within minutes. Cameras clicked faster. Journalists leaned forward. This girl, despite being homeless, despite having nothing, recognized the danger, ran through the crowd and stopped the handshake that would have ended my life. Silence fell, heavy, stunning. He turned to her, his eyes soft. Kamsi, because of you, I am alive. Because of you, Nigeria still has me. Her throat tightened painfully. Tears blurred her vision. Somno faced the crowd again. And yet, instead of celebrating her bravery, I allowed her to be arrested. I allowed her to suffer. For that, I will never forgive myself. A tear slipped down his cheek. He continued, voice stronger. Today, I am here to correct that mistake. He gently lifted Kamsi's hand. This young woman deserves honor, not punishment. Dignity, not mockery. A chance, not chains. He reached beneath the table and took out a white folder with a golden seal. Inside were 3 documents. He held them up one by one. First reward, a home. Kamsi Adiele, he said, I hereby award you a fully furnished 2-bedroom apartment in Lekki Phase 1. You will never sleep under a bridge again, never beg again, never fear the rain again. The hall erupted in gasps. Kamsi covered her mouth as tears streamed uncontrollably. A home? Her own home? It felt like a dream. Second reward, education and dreams restored. Sono displayed the second document. This is a full education scholarship, tuition, books, upkeep, until your university degree is complete. You once had dreams before life stole them away. Today, those dreams return. Kamsi trembled violently. Her certificate had fallen in the mud. Her dreams had faded slowly over years, and now, reborn. Third reward, a future Somto held up the final document. A job offer, he announced, at Somto Industries in the public relations and human development sector. You will not just survive, you will rise. The hall shook with applause. Photographers shouted. Journalists scrambled to record every moment. Some wiped tears, but the moment that broke, everyone happened next. Sona stood, walked around the table, and knelt before Kamsi. Yes, a billionaire knelt before a formerly homeless girl. Kamsi, he said softly, I owe you my life, and I promise you, this company, this world, and I will never treat you as lesser again. Her chest cracked open with emotion. She burst into mouths and fell into his arms. The whole hall stood and applauded. Some cried openly. It was no longer a news event. It was a moment of destiny. The world responds within hours. Her story trended on every social platform. Artists drew her face beside angel wings. Radio stations called her Nigeria's guardian. People who mocked her apologized publicly. Donations poured in for her upcoming foundation. Homeless no more. Helpless no more. Invisible no more. Kamsi had become a symbol of courage. That evening, a private moment of peace. After the conference, Somto personally drove her to her new apartment. The room smelled of fresh paint and lavender. The lights were warm, the furniture soft and welcoming. Her eyes wandered, overwhelmed. Is this really for me? She whispered. For you, he said gently, and no one will ever take it from you. Her tears flowed again, quiet, grateful, cleansing. Somto took her hand softly. You saved me, he said. Now allow me to save you too. Kamsi looked around, then at the man who had gone from stranger to destiny. For the first time in years, her heart felt light. Thank you, she whispered. You saved me too, from a life that was slowly killing me. He smiled warmly. This is only the beginning. She believed him. The happy ending. That night, Kamsi lay on her new bed, a real bed, her own bed. No rain, no insults, no hunger, no fear, just peace. Her life had changed because she acted with courage on a day when fear tried to silence her, and destiny rewarded her. She closed her eyes, whispering, Thank you, God, I am home. and she slept, the peaceful sleep of someone who